Well, you're not gonna believe it. You've shown up again for a play for time, and I'm pretty excited about that. Welcome
I
on
did.
board.
I always
Yo,
show
I'm
up.
excuse me, where did that voice come from? You
It's
have a
come
voice?
back. It's not 100%, but it's improved, and the doctor said I can talk again. I just have to keep an eye on it if I get tired or something, if my voice kinda gets tired.
Wow. Well, let me just run the intro, and then we'll start the show.
Business, business, business. Numbers. Is this working? Yes.
Yeah,
I think all the
uh,
time.
it's
Business,
our show.
business,
So,
number
let's see who came to say hello. Chloe says, "Your voice, yay."
happy. Like, I mean, I can't sing yet, obviously, but there.
Yeah, but you've got your voice. So let's see. It was at least, I don't know, 2 days that you had no voice? Maybe it
It
might have
was
been a week.
10 weeks.
10
10
weeks with
weeks.
no voice.
Mhm.
Bring us back to the start. What happened? What was going on? You were at a
Oh,
Taylor
boy.
Swift concert. You couldn't believe yourself. You were like, "This is the best day of my life." Tay Tay.
No. No,
Oh,
I did the show with you on Friday in December, and everything seemed cool. I was, like, a little bit hoarse, and then by Monday, my voice was totally gone, just gone. Like, I couldn't wheeze or croak out, like, a syllable. It was really, really bad. So, I started going to an ENT locally, ear, nose, and throat specialist, and, they were like, "Yeah, we don't know. Go to Boston." I
it's
went to
wild.
Boston. Yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, at this point, they're not even sure, like, exactly what happened. They're just basically, like, probably cumulative because I had a pretty
Hmm.
bad cold, like, last May and then had, like, a throat issue last August. They're like, "Yeah, it probably just was cumulative, and it takes a little longer to resolve." So, here we are.
Yeah. So how do they fix that? Do they just give you a little bag of Werther's Originals and send you home, or what's the process like? Probably nothing,
Like,
right?
wait forever in my experience. No, it's like they put a scope in to check out your vocal cords and stuff, and they looked pretty gnarly, like mine did. They were very rigid. They're supposed to be, very fluid, your vocal cords. That's what makes the sound, and mine were more like not doing anything. Everything was kinda inflamed. So, yeah, I mean, we tried a bunch of stuff. Tried antibiotics, tried antifungals, because why not? Tried, steroid. We just tried everything we could try. Even antacids, because 'cause they're like, "I don't know, even if you don't know you have acid issues, you could." But time and voice rest was the only thing that worked. So,
Interesting. So the way they scope it is they just basically tell you to say, and they just call it good right from there?
I wish. No, this is awful. I don't mean to, like, gross anyone out, but they take a scope and they have to put it through your nose because if they put it down your throat, your gag reflex will get in the way. So they, like,
Mm.
put it in and, like, it's not super, but it's okay. It's fine. And then they put a little light in there and video and show you your vocal cords, which is pretty wild. I think it sorta looks like the face hugger from Alien.
Yeah. I found a YouTube short video of this, so
Oh,
I'm just gonna
no,
put
this
this up.
might freak people out. Trigger warning, it's
Yeah, it might
weird.
be a little gross,
It's really
trigger warning,
weird.
but this is just a generic one.
That's what they have you do. Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea
Yeah.
that that was how the mechanism worked. It has never been an issue. I was in show choir, in school, and I remember thinking that the people who, like, were drinking lemon water and doing voice rest were just, like, pretentious as hell, and, I had, yeah, like, no respect for that,
Mm.
and turns out, there's something to it, so,
Yeah.
anyway.
And
But, yeah, it's
so
for a video content professional to have no voice for 10 weeks is semi-upsetting, but I ended up focusing a lot more on the back end, so I was scripting a lot of video, I was coaching people to, create their own video for work, I was experimenting with a voice clone. I basically got way into a lot of things that possibly I wouldn't have leaned so hard into, if this hadn't happened, so, it's been interesting.
in a really weird way, you kind of engendered what the show's idea is about. Like, how do you keep it engaging and doing things as time goes on, as you age? And it wasn't like you meant to do it, and it didn't really have much to do with your age. It just happened to happen, but you really kind of engaged the thing.
I think the
Um,
longer you live, the weirder stuff you will experience.
yeah, no,
I know.
that is absolutely very true. There's a couple comments out there. So Chloe asked
Chloe's
the question, how does it feel being able to speak again after so long?
So I yelled yesterday. I don't yell ever really. I mean, I didn't scream or anything, but I saw my youngest slip on the ice. Now they're 16 and a half. They're not like a baby, but I was still like, "Oh, honey, are you okay?" And it was the first time I'd raised my I think it was the loudest noise I'd made in 2 months. And I was like, "It's not too bad. It's not too bad." So I it's pretty exciting actually. Joanne says, "I learned from the voice clone thing." You know what? It's amazing. So it's 11 labs. I asked Christopher Penn, who's probably the smartest person I know, just like bar none, but he's definitely the smartest about AI and the technology and what it can and can't do. And I told him I need like a realistic voice clone. What do you got? Can you code it or something? And he's like, "Oh, you need 11 labs. It's the tool."
11 labs.
Yeah, so after I couldn't obviously validate that it was my voice by recording new stuff, so I had to give them my passport. You are only allowed to clone your own voice, and the reason is it's so freaking good, it's scary. So I actually fed a little piece of your newsletter from a couple weeks ago into it. Check out how good it is.
Back when musicians made record albums, it was universally understood that if the first album was amazing, the second one would stink. Everyone's sophomore effort was trash, largely because they won so big on their first amazing vision that reality distorts when they try to hit the second. In all life, though, we want the past tense when it comes to struggle. We want to
Wild.
have struggled, not to be in the middle of it.
I mean, it's pretty freaking good. Like it's not bulletproof in the sense that it's not actually how I would have read that, but it's believable enough.
I mean, it captures a bunch of different details, you know. It captures your sibilance, it captures you know, some of the up and down that you do. I mean, you put on kind of this media person voice. It's not exactly the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, but it's definitely got that kind of I've trained for radio kind of voice, and I think that really shows.
It's engineered so people continue to listen. Because if you speak at the same tone and pace all the time, people will zone out. So Joanne
And
says,
and
oh, sorry, go ahead.
I just finishing that same point. The other thing is, people don't realize, even if they try to add some, you know, audio inflections to their voice, if they're not really schooled at it, then what they do is they repeat one little trick, and it sounds like this, and you go, "What are you doing?" Because you're like, "What are you like?" You hear people talk, but it is different. It is, you learn something to perform a voice. It is, speaking and performing a voice are two very different things, I would say.
That's true. So I fed about an hour and 5 minutes worth of samples into 11 labs to get that clone made. They were all scripted videos that I had read, and I am a very good script reader, but it is definitely a different voice than I use like now, like right now, or just chatting at home or something. So using the 11 Labs voice clone to speak for me in other situations was weird. Like it sounded a little weird. It was like if Casey Kasem was like asking you to add something to the shopping list. Like, hey, can you do what on the shopping? Like it was just weird. So Joanne says, "Do you have regular voice rest in your schedule?" No, the doctor stopped short of ordering that. She said that's what they do sometimes for people in different circumstances, but she thought I could just kind of like feel it out. And when my voice feels like it's getting tired or strained, to stop. But guilty.
And
Oh,
yeah,
of the
of making the
inflection at the
sound
end.
and
Yeah,
doing
making
the
the noise at
thing,
the end. Yeah.
which if you're Canadian is completely allowed, because that's how like at least half of the country talks.
Well, go try 11 Labs if you're looking for a voice clone. It's pretty incredible. Like I would be comfortable feeding a script into it, although I would do it paragraph at a time. Um, for like a voiceover for a video that you didn't need to see my face on. Like it's that good. I would suggest doing it in small bits as opposed to putting one large thing of text in it, because if you don't like one piece of it, how it delivered those words, then you'd have to like tank the whole thing and regenerate it. So a little piece at a time guarantees you get kind of the delivery you want, but it's amazing.
Nice. So I want to dig deep on, I want to dig deep a little bit on what it is like, because, one of the things I realize in life very often is if it's not your impediment, you have real trouble visualizing the impediment. But I was around it, I'm around you a lot. We work together a lot. We hang out socially a lot, and we do this show. I was around you a lot. And what I realized is that even myself, Dan, everybody around you is kind of like, pardon, what'd you say? And like, you're supposed to be saying nothing. So that's hard. But then also drive up windows for food or something. You're going to go
Yeah.
get a coffee or whatever. You're off the grid in so many ways just for not having a voice. What did it make you think of it like as a disability? What did it make you think? And what are you thinking differently about life and operation of everything now at this point?
I think that there are a whole lot of assumptions and expectations people have without realizing that they have them, and they're not articulated, and they don't kind of become aware of those assumptions or expectations until they're violated. So, one type of thing is if you speak to someone, you expect them to speak back to you vocally. And I ran into that problem over and over again. So, I wasn't trying to be rude. I really couldn't talk. Like one woman, I, I held the door for a woman in a wheelchair and was trying to kind of gesture to her where the elevator was, because there was no other way for her to progress into the building in a wheelchair from where she had come in. And she could not understand me. She kept saying, "Can you talk louder? Can you talk louder?" I literally freaking couldn't. So it was really rough. And I was kind of gesticulating. But yeah, so I guess that probably was the biggest thing, is just that people just expect that you can speak the same way. I imagine they expect that you can see, can hear, can do all of the things that like traditionally abled people can do, and they act accordingly. So if you don't speak back the way they're expecting, it's like a affront. They just, the first assumption is that you're rude, not that you're having some kind of issue. So yeah, so that was interesting. And the whole world is also set up for vocal stuff now, probably more than ever. I realized I couldn't use the Amazon Echo to turn the lights on and stuff. I had to use the app, which is like whatever. It's like fine, I lived. But it's just all the things you've built into your life to respond to your voice now we're like off the table.
Well, and seeing as you work in a completely together in the same room company where you can all just see each other and talk and nod and have body language, that must have really worked really well too.
Well, I will say this, my face is very expressive. I do not have a poker face. I have a glass face. So sometimes I communicate a very lot, without saying anything at all. So that was actually not as hard as it could have been. And the people on my team, on the creative team, were so dynamite about it, really. Like they read the chat when because I was like typing furiously in the chat during meetings, and they would make an effort to take a look in the chat. If we were in a meeting with another team that maybe wasn't as sensitive to it, even though everybody knew I had no voice, they would sometimes forget to check the chat. Someone on my team would go, "Well, hey, Kerry made a couple points here in the chat, and I think we should address them." So, I mean, really, I can't say enough nice things about the folks at our company. Everybody was so great and so patient and so helpful.
Unacceptable Ideas has a pretty good sized comment right here. Lack of polish does seem to increasingly be an asset today. So, I mean, back to your tone in your voice and how you were presenting your
Yeah.
voice is, especially in something like YouTube and Spotify, deliberately staying away from training and for sure no AI outside of editing. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, you didn't have a choice. Like the media that you had an hour plus of was professional media that you produced. So it
I mean,
wasn't
yeah,
like
you don't record yourself just like chatting or like, I'm not Richard
hey, who
Nixon.
farted? It just doesn't
Ask
work
your
like
parents. Richard Nixon.
that.
I will say, so lack of polish is one thing, lack of energy is another. Because you see that too sometimes. Like, it's fine if you're a little bit jumbled, if you kind of jump cut, if your camera's a teensy bit shaky, all that stuff just adds sort of, folksy charm, I guess, to your media. But if you're just like low energy, people will peace out immediately. So I've noticed that. I know I do it. I've noticed other people do it as well. Let's see. Celebrity overproduced works struggle relative to the built-in audience they bring. Yeah, I mean, I can't disagree. I think we're so hungry for something authentic now. I mean, authentic even as a word is overused, but like we're just so tired of the BS. Like if I see one more person face tuning their pictures, like, I'm so disappointed. I'm like, you are beautiful exactly the way you are. Stop blurring your face till you look plasticky.
Right. Little
Please.
makeup's fine, but you can't like blur yourself to the point that there's two eye dots like pee in a snowbank.
Especially celebrities, because like they've got everything at their disposal so that their actual in-person face looks as good as it possibly can. Like, why do you got to mess with it after you turn the camera on?
Yeah.
I
I
don't
would
know.
say also though, to the point being made though, about overproduced and all that. I think
Yeah.
it's definitely, I think there is this kind of curve that comes and goes. Do you know? Like, so we'll watch something that's very well produced and we're like, oh, that's really well produced. That looks great. And then like suddenly there was that whole YouTube, all of a sudden everyone seemed to get the glowing purple background. And
Yeah.
then it was not cool again. So especially in different age categories, there's different trends that come and they go. And so I think that there's definitely something to be said about it. But for me, I mean, this is a through line for me. Like I have for decades been like a little crumbly, a little sloppy. I'd go up on stage and speak professionally and I'd be, what was my topic again? And people would react to it in a really kind of fun way. I have trended towards getting at least a little more produced, like at least making sure that I am giving some effort and making it into an event.
Right. You want to look spontaneous. You don't want to actually be spontaneous.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's what comedian Dave
Mhm.
Chappelle often looks like he just came up with the joke right there on stage, but of course he practiced it for quite a while.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that's true.
Mhm.
Do
There's
you
times
in
you want something really produced, and there's times you want something to look like you threw it together on the spot. Like when I was doing negotiations to settle a case or something, like as a lawyer, you don't want to come in with like a slick PowerPoint. I'm sorry, it's dated, but like Google Slides, whatever. You don't want to come in with a super slick, prepared presentation of your proposed solution because people are going to think that you have already made up your mind, that you're not going to listen to their concerns, and also that you're trying to like, I don't know, like razzle dazzle them into doing what you want them to do. So what you do in those cases is show up with like a pack of markers, like a big giant sticky notepad and do the same thing, suggest the same things, but write them out sloppy like on the pad. And suddenly everyone's like, yeah, we workshop this together. So there's time for produced and there's time for sloppy, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think both. Sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Look, I can interrupt
No.
you again. That's exciting.
I know. Woo! It's also, I always call it the Betty Crocker school of creation. Like, there's this possibly apocryphal tale of they made instant cake such that it got all the way down to you could just add water, and then sales went crazy bad. And they made it back to add 2 eggs, add a little milk, and then it went woo and sold tons. And for whatever reason, we want that ability to feel like we participated by we put some eggs and milk in it. Technically, you don't have to. You could literally just add water and get the same cake, but people wanted the other experience.
We're creatures of emotion, not logic.
Hello, Michael.
That is true.
So now that you've got your voice back, one thing people don't necessarily know about you is that you were in musical theater. You used to love to sing. You used to sing just, karaoke, but as well just kind of out and about. You're probably a little bit off from still being able to really belt it, but
Yeah, I can't
what
sing.
songs are you thinking about singing now that you have a voice again?
Well, musical theaters is kind of its own thing. I know all the songs that I did in college. I do not sing them, but it was cool. It was cool. If you're a lead, you get like 3 or 4 songs and like maybe one of them's good. So, but I remember them all. I sang to my kids when they were babies, all sorts of things. I would put their names into like the Thomas the Tank Engine songs. I would sing contemporary songs. I would sing, I mean, everything, like from the Dropkick Murphys to the Beatles, like just everything. Sing, 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 sing. So I don't know what I would sing. I've been listening to audiobooks in the car, so probably not going to sing along to stuff in the car. But at this point, I'm going to sing just on principle. I'll go like audition for a community theater production of Patsy Cline's story or something just to sing. Just because I want to. Anything.
I was thinking, I don't know, maybe Numb from U2 or
Oh, nice. I could kill as Mrs. Lovett and Sweeney Todd. Oh, I would do it. I would
Oh,
do it. If you are a
that's
musical theater geek, I have played Nettie in Carousel, and I have played, oh gosh, what's her name? Princess Puffer in The Mystery of Edwin Drood. So I've had some really fun roles to play. I could get into Mrs. Lovett for sure. Let's go.
I played the captain of the Tin Soldiers in the Velveteen Rabbit. That's about all I remember playing. I'm not a
So
musical.
funny. It's so funny. I remember in college, I did a couple musicals, and one of them, Pippin. I was Catherine and Pippin. There you go. All right, nerds. And I was dating, later married, the guy who played Charlemagne. And he, spoiler alert, he gets killed in one scene, and he's on the stage, like supposedly dead, but he's singing along just to like help the chorus carry stuff. It was really fun. Musical theater nerds are a special kind of nerd.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
I've stumbled into something here. Going forward, what do you have to do to preserve your voice? How do you not fall in the same bucket and suddenly have a 10-week experience with no voice anymore?
Yeah, that's funny. You know, I sort of asked the same thing and I did not get like a super good answer because they don't exactly know what happened this time. The theory is it was cumulative. So first I had a really bad cough, and then a few months later had some kind of throat infection or something, and then maybe it wasn't completely treated, even though it got better. So they're kind of saying, hey, when you experience a problem, if you start to get hoarse, if you start losing your voice, that's the time to come in. And I think, she didn't say this, but I think what she meant was come in here. Don't waste time at the local ENT that didn't know anything. But yeah, so I guess hydrate. It's very important to hydrate. Avoid food or like really spicy acidic stuff that might damage your vocal cords or lead to any kind of like reflux that could damage your vocal cords.
Mm.
I don't smoke. I don't scream, so I don't really know.
What kind of Irish person are you? I guess you're not going to be on Hot Ones anytime soon then.
I
Judging
guess
by
not.
that.
I could do it. I could just cheat. Could sub in like some super mild thing and then just like sell it like they do in the World Wrestling Entertainment stage. Be like, oh, terrible. I could do it. Give me some milk.
Off the top rope. All right. Well, I think we need to end our show.
Oh, so my voice doesn't go away or just because you're bored?
Yep.
Business, business, business. Numbers. Is this working?